Welcome back to the Solomon Tension Podcast, Unfiltered. I have with me our next guest, Mr. Elijah One, here to share his story. What's your story?
Well, like I said, it's been a long journey to get to where I'm at right now. It actually kind of started, how do you say it, in college. You're a communications major, trying to figure out the world. You have these big dreams of what you really want to get accomplished, but the world really hasn't guided you in the right direction, right? I met a lot of great people. I pledged Alpha Phi Alpha, and I just got in tune with who I was as a person. And I think a lot of people at a young age, they lose that. That they get tricked out of their 20s. They think they have to be successful at 21, or because they didn't land that big, internship, that they can't have the dreams that they've always imagined, right? So, getting out of college, I actually worked on The Great Debaters with Denzel Washington. So that was a blessing to work, to get my first paycheck, to not have any responsibilities, living off a set, that kind of fun thing. I went over to France to start teaching English as a second language. The business professionals in Paris, enjoyed that. But I remember I was on top of the Sacré-Cœur, which is the Sacred Heart in Paris. And I was lonely. My family is out in California. I'm trying to find my way in this world. And I realized that, family was something very important to me. So I ended up getting married to my girlfriend at the time, moved back to Arizona and started my life. Now, what I did not understand was that starting that life, you have to start fresh. Moving to another country, that's fresh. Moving to a state that I've never been to before, that's fresh. Getting married, that's fresh at a young age. But it's those type of risks that open up the biggest opportunities in our lives. So I'm in Arizona. Obviously, it's a desert. So I don't think there's much PR rep for movie stars and things of that nature at that time. And what I did anything any man would do. I tried to get me a job. And I was selling charity items outside of the Kmart and of all places, Mexico. So I didn't know any Spanish at the time either. So I'm driving all the way from Tucson, Arizona to Mexico, and I'm learning on the way. Cami aceptas 10 dólares, tengo buen día, si Dios te bendiga, just all the kind of pleasantries you may want to do. And I was successful and I kept going. But the thing is, everything doesn't last forever. So what happened was that job actually ended up being what they call a pyramid scheme. It's a multi-level marketing scheme where, you sell more products, the next person sells more products. And I didn't know it all the time. So it gets shut down. So I'm out of a job. I'm wandering the desert, literally, trying to find a job. And I find a cell phone shop. And I was like, okay, cool. I can sell cell phones, I guess, communications major, I'll be fine. So I go in there and it's a whole nother world. Sales is a whole nother world where you're really engaging with people. When I saw the money that you can make, this is back when cell phones weren't popular, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about contracts at $80, $90, cell phones at $200 or whatever it may be. Only the kind of like supreme people had cell phones at the time. Well, anyway, I ended up excelling. My boss gave me a book called The World's Greatest Salesman. I read it. I learned it because I needed a new craft. I couldn't go home to mom, couldn't go home to dad. I just had to really buckle down. Went up in the business, and I'm gonna tell you a story from the millennials. Stick to your character. That's all you have in this world. Not the accolades, not the money. Your integrity as a person is going to carry you on throughout your whole life. Jobs may come and go, but who you are, you're gonna have to live with forever. And I never forgot, a lady comes into the cell phone shop, and she says, I need to exchange this. It's outside the 30-day policy. I said, okay. I said, I'll see. I didn't say, okay. I said, let me check. Well, it's outside the policy. I can't take it. Well, she says, well, I'm gonna call your boss. She calls his boss's boss. And I said, no, I can't do it. She comes in a couple of days later, says, your boss said exchange it. I call him. He says, okay, I exchange it. She said, I want an apology. And I said, well, I apologize on behalf of the company. I'm sorry what happened. She says, no, I want an apology from you. And I said, it's not gonna happen. I said, because I didn't write the policy, I'm not going to give you an apology as Elijah on Ridgeway. But I will apologize on behalf of the company. Long story short, my boss comes down and says, why didn't you apologize? I said, because my integrity as a man means more than the sale or this job. And he says, I think you're right. Let's me go. Top salesman. Let's me go.
Wow.
But guess what God did? God said, listen, I got something better for you. I applied to a local bank. I become a banker. I move up to be a financial advisor. My wife's mother gets sick at the time, so we end up moving back to Louisiana. And guess what? I became a financial advisor. Wow. And I grew. I got stronger. I learned my craft, education. I knew this was the only chance I had. I had babies on the way. I had 2 babies at the time. Yeah. And this was my chance. And 14 years later, let me do the math right. Excuse me. I'm doing the right math right. 10 years later, I have a lucrative career as a financial advisor. At that point, all the lessons I've learned about spirituality, staying focused, setting goals, staying in my lane, not letting other people trick me out of my 20s, out of my 30s, and putting their idea of success on me. Yeah. Started my own firm. Now I own AB Ridgeway Wealth Management, and I get to control my own destiny. I get to control the experience. I get to control who I am when I am. But it started being humble at first, because when you're young, you're ambitious, you kind of have an idea of what you want, but the world gives you all these different ideas. So what I just tell all my, my young mentors, my mentees, and everybody else is that stay focused, read, educate yourself, and not just on what happens in the world, but what happens within you. What's your thinking like? What's your body like? What is your communication skills like? Those are the things that's really going to matter in this world.
Yeah. So, man, that was an amazing story, man. I want to pull out something.
Yeah.
Because you had your communications degree at the time.
Yes.
And you found yourself wandering in the desert, literally. After being let go, wondering your next move. Like, what was going through your head in that moment, man? Because I know what I would have been thinking, but I know some of our listeners, again, you have a degree, right?
Right.
What were you thinking?
Well, I didn't want to throw my school under the bus. I went to Grambling State University, HBCU, shout out to them. I knew that I could study. And that's one thing about college. Yeah. College teaches you to study things that you may not be interested in. So whether it's history, whether it's science, maybe it's math, whatever it is, but having the discipline to learn and to train your mind to get what you need accomplished so you can get to what you need to get done, right? So sometimes you're going to have to go through those moments where you're studying, doing things you may not like to get to the other side. And that's what I loved about college. So what I was saying is that through that time that I was just, digging inside myself, I said, hey, I can learn this. Hey, I can get through this. Oh, this is not a problem for me. I studied long hours. I've read before. I know how to connect to people. I know how to shake hands. I know how to kiss babies. I know all the talent that I've accumulated over the years. I had to dig inside myself and get it. So when you think that you're in school, you're not learning anything, it's not worth it. Well, when you're in that desert, you're going to need it. It may not seem like that when it's in your backpack, but when you're wandering and trying to find yourself, you're going to need it.
Yeah. You talk a little bit about spirituality and your faith. Yeah. How was that as you went through your journey of growing, the ups and downs, and got a family on the way? What role did your faith play in keeping you focused?
I was broken. If you look in the Bible, any race, Abraham, he's about to sacrifice his child, Job, they're all broken, right? God puts them through these trials, but it's only through those trials that you get a strong sense of humility. And then also your pain threshold increases. So I actually thank God for all those different troubles, because when you go through something of that magnitude, nothing else matters. There's no saying that. When you become fearless, your options become limitless. And that's what happened. I unlocked my true potential because the fear or this unknown was gone, because it was either sink or swim at that point. So my faith actually strengthened at that point, because I knew that God wasn't going to let me fail. And also, it made me really dig into the Bible and figure out, how can I get help? How can I get stronger in who I was, mentally and spiritually?
Yeah, man, that was a dope story. So tell us about what you're doing right now. How can we connect with you? I definitely want to give a space for that. How can we connect with you? What you have going on right now? What type of services do you provide?
Well, like I said, right now, I'm a financial advisor. Like I said, I own AB Ridgeway Wealth Management. We're really just trying to get the message out that you can be rich and you can be righteous. I think a lot of times people separate money and faith, and we're trying to put that together. There's over 200 verses in the Bible that talk about money. So obviously God thought it was important to put it in there, right? And we're trying to bring those skills and those scriptures to the general public. Now, I deal with, high net worth individuals, but I also kind of want to speak to, some of the younger individuals when they're just starting, is that this information that I give, whether it's on YouTube, under AB Ridgeway Wealth Management, whether it's the podcast, financial advisors say the darndest things, I'm always trying to give you information that you can learn for the long run. It's not as sexy as everybody wants to make it out. It's not the Wolf of Wall Street. It's not what you see with all the bells and whistles and all the day trading and all the Madoffs and all those things. It's consistent, it's disciplined, and it's once again having a true sense of self and not being distracted by this world, because this world wants to sell you everything, right? But unless you understand what you really want to get accomplished, you're never going to go to where you need to. That's what our firm is all about. It's just about establishing a strong foundation of finance, and also an understanding that it's okay. It's okay to have things. It's okay to enjoy them. But when you only think about yourself, that's the problem. We're not just talking about ourselves. We're talking about generational wealth. We're talking about yourself, you're talking about your children, then you're talking about your children's children. So at some point, you have to say, how much is enough? And a lot of people say, I want to be a millionaire, multi-millionaire. Yes, you're talking about you. We're trying to teach you how to think about the children, and then on and on.
Yeah. Well, this was a dope conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story. I want to encourage all of our listeners to always connect with any of our guests, as well as if you've enjoyed this conversation, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the Solid Intention Podcast Unfiltered. Thank you again, sir, for being on the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.